Hey everyone, and thank you so much for clicking on this video. My name is Justin, and we're less than a month away from the NHL regular season. Such an exciting time of year, and I've been seeing a lot of these videos pop up. I did one last year, which I'll link in the description here, but I want to do another iteration for the 2021-2022 NHL season, and that is my 5 hot takes for the year. Now, like I said, I'll put in the description my previous one. It was one of my first ever videos on this channel, so forgive the production quality on it, not the best. But I think I did pretty well in my predictions. I made 5, but the first one was not quantifiable at all. It was basically that there was going to be unpredictable statistics. Who knows what that even means? So that was way far off. We'll count it at a 4. I got 3 of the 4. I said Mikko Lehtinen was going to move up the lineup in the Toronto Maple Leafs. Terrible guess. But other than that, I said Ottawa would not come last in the North Division. I was right on that. Taylor Hall would get traded at the deadline. I was right on that. And a Canadian team makes the finals. Obviously, Montreal did just that. So we went 3 of 4 last year. I want to see how many this year I can get right. Number 1, hot take number 1 for this year, in my opinion, the 2021-2022 Stanley Cup champion is going to come from the Atlantic Division. Now, Tampa Bay Lightning, I do think are going to take a step back, and a lot of people do think that they could three-peat. I'm not one of those people. I wouldn't be surprised if they did, but they lost a lot of important pieces, and I think the drive to really go far in the playoffs might fizzle out a little bit after you've had 2 really long seasons and very difficult seasons with the last couple of years in COVID. So I do think that they're going to take a step back, but I think that that division is just so talented and so competitive that the winner of that division might very well just win the Stanley Cup, and that leaves a room of opportunity for the Toronto Maple Leafs to do just that. Now, of course, I'm not banking on it whatsoever. I have very low expectations for the team this year. Anything that they do, I'm just going to watch along, but I do think that the winner will be from that division, and if I had to pick one team as my Stanley Cup champion right now, I would say the Florida Panthers. I think they're such a good team. They didn't get the recognition last year just because they went up against Tampa Bay in the first round, had an incredible series, but got beat out by the eventual Stanley Cup champions on what was an incredible Tampa Bay Lightning team. But they got even better this year. They solidified their goaltenders with bringing up Spencer Knight and how well he's playing, but of course bringing in Sam Reinhart, a full year with Sam Bennett. This team is just so good. They are my pick for the Cup right now, but I would not be surprised any of the teams in that division were to win the Cup. Number 2, of course, I have to throw a Toronto Maple Leafs prediction in here, and this one is going to be that the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to have a worse season than last year. Of course, they came in the first place in the North Division and had a strong showing as far as wins and points. So I think they'll be worse in that regard next year, but I do think they will go further in the playoffs. Now, once again, I'm not setting the expectation that the Leafs are going to make it to the second round. In fact, I think it's going to be incredibly difficult for them to even make the playoffs with such a tough division in the Atlantic. But my hot take is that they are going to go further, even though they have a worse regular season. And I made a video about this not too long ago about what would establish whether the Toronto Maple Leafs are better next year than this past year. And a lot of people, I think, are going to regard it as how many points they get in the regular season, how many wins they get in the regular season. But I think that the mindset for this team has to be different next year. It has to be that the entire regular season is nothing but gearing yourself up for the playoffs. I think in years past, it's been, let's go have fun. Let's go get our cookies, get our points, get our goals. It's been just enjoying the season, but not really taking into the details, the specifics of what's going to make you go far in the playoffs. I think that this team needs to spend the regular season figuring out what is going to make them a different team come the postseason and get them to that next step where they can make the second round. And the acquisitions that I think they brought in this past season in free agency are the pieces that I think will help them go further in the playoffs, but maybe not as, I don't know, high skill, high flair for the regular season. So in my prediction, again, Toronto, worst season from points in the regular season, but will go further in the playoffs, i.e. round 2 and beyond. Hot take number 3. Zach Hyman left the Toronto Maple Leafs this offseason in free agency to go join Connor McDavid in Edmonton, and I would not be surprised at all if he takes full advantage of that. I think Zach Hyman is going to get 30-plus goals, and if he plays in an entire season, can get 80-plus points. Now, some people will agree with me, some people will think I'm absolutely crazy, but Connor McDavid is a lot more of a playmaking style of player than Matthews is, who Hyman has played with over the last little bit. and Hyman was still at a 30 goal plus pace over the last few seasons. So I would think that just the way he plays, going to the front of the net, getting deflections, getting rebounds, not to mention the fact that this guy is very skilled at producing offense on his own. He's able to make stuff out of absolutely nothing, and he doesn't get enough credit for that regard. But playing alongside Connor McDavid, he's just going to take full advantage and get a ton of points and a ton of goals. I also think the power play is going to be a lot better for him next year. The Toronto Maple Leafs struggled on the man advantage last season, so Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, right there setting up Zach Hyman, who's going to be in front of the net, I'm sure. He's going to be able to take full advantage. Again, hopefully he can stay healthy for a full 82 games. He has had some knee injuries and surgeries in the past, but if he stays healthy, I would not be surprised if he surpasses the 80-point mark. Hot take number 4, the Pittsburgh Penguins. They've been my second team for as long as I can remember. And I say this a lot recently, and I always have to bite my tongue after because they always prove me wrong. But the Pittsburgh Penguins will miss the playoffs this year, and this will be the first year of their eventual rebuild. Now, we know that Crosby and Malkin will be out at the beginning of the season, recovering from surgeries. And then when they do come back, obviously they need some time to be acclimated. But without their 1 or 2 center, they're going to get off to a slow start, I would imagine. And with such a good division as well, with the likes of obviously the Islanders, the Rangers could take a step up, the Capitals, a lot of good competition in their division. I think come the trade deadline, this team is not going to be in a playoff spot. They're going to start moving out some assets. Maybe that's the likes of a Brian Rust, a Jake Gensel, and not necessarily Crosby or Malkin. I don't think those guys are getting dealt. But I think that the mindset for this team is going to shift to, okay, we're not as good as we used to be in the prime of Crosby and Malkin. Let's start preparing for the future, trade away some roster players, and get some assets back in future prospects, some draft picks, and eventually this is the start of the Pittsburgh Penguins rebuild. And hot take number 5 here. I made the prediction last year that Taylor Hall was going to get traded, and I was right. So I'm going to do another trade prediction here. I think that the Calgary Flames are going to move one of, if not multiple, of Johnny Gaudreau, Sean Monahan, and Matthew Tkachuk. Now, I think that the number 1 player here that I would isolate is Johnny Gaudreau. This is a team that has had lots of playoff success and lots of looks over the last few years, especially with the likes of Gaudreau and Monahan pushing their way over the last, let's say, decade or so. But now they're really starting to have a lot of struggles, even though they've got some really young potential players with a lot of skill coming in. And with those young players and skilled players comes a lot of expectation, and this team ultimately has not got anything done. And I think that eventually it's going to be out with the old, in with the new. And Johnny Gaudreau, being a guy that's going into a final year of his contract, is, I think, someone that is going to be someone expendable at the trade deadline where you can move Johnny Gaudreau. It hasn't worked with him in Calgary. He's obviously had a fantastic career there, but they haven't been able to take that next step in the playoffs. And I think the ultimate solution here is for Calgary to move on, get some solid pieces back at the deadline, and then use those pieces for hopefully a run next year or in the next couple of years. I don't think that they're going to make the playoffs this year. I really don't think they're a bad team whatsoever. They just don't have the recipe to get it done, and I think that they deserve it. They've got the young potential pieces, like I said. So if I were to isolate one guy, Johnny Gaudreau, I think will get traded sometime this year, probably at the trade deadline. So there you have it. There are my 5 hot takes for this year's NHL season. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you think I'm absolutely crazy? When I said Taylor Hall was getting traded last year, I had many of my buddies texting me saying, you're absolutely off your rocker. That's not going to happen. But I was right. So hopefully I'm right on a couple here. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your hot takes. I love to read them. I did a reaction video last year as well to 10 hot takes that I saw online. Maybe I'll do that again. But regardless, only a month away from the regular season. So excited. We're getting ramped up. Looking forward to it. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.